Hey everyone, it is currently Monday, May day 22. We are 3 weeks into the game. Lots of changes were done over the last week. Lots of changes. Lots of changes to the code, lots of changes to our game board. We've added a bunch of new cards, and we've updated the demo. So if you want to play the game, there's a link down below. Just like last week, there's so much code to go through, we really can't use this video to really look at it all. We can talk about it briefly, but we can't really look at it. If you really want to know more about the code, hop in the stream and just ask me a question. I'll be happy to answer. But for what we're going to do today is we're just going to go over, we're just going to play the game. We're going to play the game, and we're just going to go over what's new. So first of all, we have a little doopy start screen. It ain't much, but the reason why we have this here is because we wanted to make it so our world actually exists. We want it to be so if you look in one direction, there's something to do there. An example is that we start with this table with the start screen. If we were to click options, which is currently not enabled, we would pan to the right and we'd look at our options menu. However, when we click new game, we turn 180 degrees around and our games board's there. Now, also, our game board technically doesn't exist at this point in time. It gets generated halfway through when we're turning around. So when we click new game, it's generated. Also, during that same exact instant, the table that we were just looking at is removed from memory. So that helps us save a lot of vertices, especially once we start sprucing up our start menu. Now, you may also notice that the game board looks significantly different. Also, we'll talk about this first real quick. So this is our spin wheel. We're spinning which deck we're going to be playing against. We kind of have a lot of the functionality for a standard match and play right now. The way it works is that you get 25 cards. Right now, they're just randomized what cards you get. And once you have your 25 cards, you get to draw 5 cards. And then you get to spin the wheel. Whee! Because people like spinning wheels, right? Like everyone likes Wheel of Fortune. That's the #1 show, I'm assuming, still. But anyways, you spin the wheel and it chooses your opponent. Once the opponent is selected, it then takes 20 cards from that opponent's deck and then shoves into your deck. So now I have 40 cards in my deck, which, by the way, this little indicator right here is the number of cards left in the deck. This indicator right here is the number of draws I have remaining. But you may also notice that our rails are gone. All the rails are gone. And they're replaced by these little numbers here, these little spin wheel numbers. The rails were unfortunately taking up too much space. We are limited to a viewport for a phone. So we were desperately running out of space when we had the big rails. They were 100 units tall, and they were kind of cool looking, debatably, but they just were not, they hogged up too much space. So we took them away. We created these little panels for our 9 stats. We updated our game board, added some color to it. We shrunk down our timer. It looks all cute and tiny now, but we'll probably be changing it as well. But I do like the way this looks better. I think it's cosmetically better and it's more readable. Because with the rails, you wouldn't know exactly what the precise value you were at, but now you know the precise values. There needs to be some adjustments here. But one good thing is that we can build these icons into the wall, so they actually merge better with the scenery. So that's something that we'll probably be doing this week. Also, some of the numbers are slightly off. I need to do some trigonometry just to find out the correct position of all the numbers, because right now there are decagons. It's physically a wheel. Like, well, actually, we'll go ahead and take a look at the back end. You get to see behind the scenes. They're they're spin wheels. Oh, a little bit hard to see. But they're a bunch of spin wheels. They're physical 3D things that spin. And they're decagons on every side. There is a number. So they just spin. There's currently a bug with them. It's a cosmetic bug, but anytime that you go from 6 to 5, they flip out. And the reason why is just because it has to do something with how Unreal's rotation works. It tries to simplify, and it's nothing that is a deal breaker. I know how to get around it, but I just left it in for the time being. There's bigger fish to fry. So this deck that we start with is Adjudicator deck. Adjudicator deck is a deck about optimizing order at the sacrifice of karma. It is cruel justice. It is black and white justice. It is swift and punishing justice. The deck that we're playing against now we spun is the Moz, which is kind of what we talked about last time. A little species of dog-like creatures. They're kind of cute. They're kind of cuddly. They're kind of scaly, and they eat trash. They also, unfortunately, whittle away your sanity. The equivalent of eating lead paint chips all day. So while they're cute and cuddly, you may not want to stay around them too long. So the Moz are also very, very hungry. Like I said, they eat trash, but they gotta eat the trash. If you don't feed them trash, they tend to stick around and make you go crazy. So that's the motif of their deck. We're going to go ahead and draw our card here. An Imprinted Moz. This card goes to our hand, and while it's in our hand, every turn in our hand, we lose 2 sanity. So you can see right here. But we also have our card cost. They're kind of color-coded right now. They kind of match a little bit of the colors that are up in the icons, but we're going to be able to make it so you can understand exactly what color is what. But Imprinted Moz, if we pay 10 karma, we can put it down, because it's killing a poor little cute Moz. It's bad karma, but it's going to make us insane, so we got to get rid of it. So off it goes. Rest in peace. We're going to go ahead and pass the turn, and we will draw a new card. Beckoning Moz. The way this works is that at the end of a turn, it consumes 1 card in the discard pile. If the discard pile is empty, it gets 1 token. At 2 tokens, it spawns a random Moz card into the deck and then shuffles. So basically, it's going to try to eat cards in our deck. If it can't eat cards in our deck, it gets angry and starts howling, calling for more Moz to come to its aid. We can also be a little bit more aggressive against it. We can put down another Moz. Capital Punishment. Costs a bit more expensive. It requires 45 order, and it costs 15 karma. The reason why is because this is not a baby Moz. This is a bigger Moz. A little bit harder to do. But we put it down. That way it doesn't call its friends up. We're going to go ahead and draw a card. Got Vigilant Magistrate, so this is one of our cards. Right now, the decks are not balanced at all. Could be rather unfair in either way. There's not many cards for the Justice deck. We will need to add into it as we go. But right now, there is the Moz deck and the Outlaw deck are pretty much fully stocked. We'll be adding, we're not going to be adding more Moz or more Outlaw cards. We're drawing too many cards. We need to get some cards out of our hand. We are going to, actually, you know what? We're going to Swift Justice this poorly hidden Moz that we know we're about to draw. Well, how do you know that? Because it's poorly hidden. It's got a big old purple backplate. We're going to go ahead. We're just going to go, ooh, let's actually go back to the game there. And we're just going to go ahead and send this on its way. Looks like there might be another one. Ooh, wow, there was. Well, we got nothing to disrupt it, so we're sacrificing 3 hands. Hey, remember the whole issue with too many cards in our hand? We had to discard? Ain't gonna have to worry about them no more. We'll get rid of 1 Vigilant Magistrate. We'll get rid of 2 of them. And Inquisition. Poorly Hidden Moz. He forces you to discard 3 cards from your hand. If you can't discard those 3 cards, he consumes 20 sanity. So it's bad either way. We'll go ahead and pass the turn. Turn number 10. Pathfinder. You may have recognized Pathfinder. By the way, just a tip. If you're playing against the Outlaw deck and you cast Pathfinder, you will find nothing because currently no binary Pathfinder cards or binary Outlaw cards. All right. Pass turn. Beckoning Moz. Saw this card already. We're a little bit low. A little low on here. But you know what we can do? This dying Moz. It's a poor little weak sick Moz. It's dying. It's in our hands. Now, Mozes normally don't eat any sort of organic matter. They normally only eat trash and inert material. But every now and then, under dire circumstances, they become a little cannibalistic. Especially if they're weak and dying. So we can exploit that and have this dying Moz that's in our hand. And we can say, hey, how about you eat this beckoning Moz? How about you eat it? And we will pass turn. Well, that beckoning Moz just wants to go to our, wants to stay in our pile. Oh, also, we got some formatting we got to clean up. We have it updated in our single display, but there's some times where we need to just manually do it. All visual bugs. Oh, okay. Oh, that was beckoning Moz eating cards in our discard pile. That's fine. Mad Moz Tamer. Oh, wait. This is one card that we made this week. Mad Moz Tamer, what he does is he increases the position of all Moz cards in our deck by 1. That means they slowly raise up to the top. So the more that he's in play and the more cards that we discard, the more and more Mozes that are going to be at the top of our deck. That was a bit of an event to program to get him to work. Refined palette Moz. So, while most Mozes will go for any sorts of trash, the refined palette Moz only eats cards from your hand. Ooh, he's got to eat cards from your hand. So anytime we draw a card, he gets a little bit hungry, and at 5 draws, he eats a card from our hand. And if there's no cards in our hand, we lose 20 sanity instead. So the motif of the Moz is, they must be fed. We're still a little bit low, but we don't want to lose too many cards in our hand, so we're just going to go ahead. Oh, we actually lost. Ooh. There might have been some effects that killed out our karma, or maybe our sanity was too low. I wasn't quite looking, honestly. But so far, this is what the game is. You can choose 2 different enemies. It's completely random. That spin the wheel is random. And you can play the card game. It's still a bit lackluster, but we still got a lot of stuff to go. We're only a third way through the process. We got a lot of stuff to do. This week, we're not going to be creating any new cards. And I know you're like, what? It's a card game. How can you have a card game without creating new cards? Well, there's a lot of stuff missing from just what we have right now. And we need to do a lot of refinement before we get too far along in it. First of all, while making this demo, getting ready for this demo, there were a few things I could realize I could do to optimize our current card sets and new functions that would make future card sets much easier to create. So we're going to be spending this week just cleaning up code, adding new functions, making it so we can track certain unique events so we can support more advanced cards. Because the thing about it is we don't want boring cards. We don't want cards that are just pay X, gain Y. We want cards that are like, on the 3rd Tuesday, if it's raining, gain 1/4 of a Y, stuff like that. We want tokens. We want weird events. We want cards popping out of our deck, which we do. We actually have, if you get the Outlaw deck, there's a ticking time bomb where it's in your deck, and if you don't draw it before 20 turns are over, it explodes. So you better hope you draw it before 20 turns are over. But think of it this way. You get 40 cards in your deck. You get 20 turns. That's 50% chance that you get to draw it. And if you draw it, you can disarm it before it explodes. So there's a lot of stuff that we got to do. So for this week, what we're going to be doing is, first of all, we're going to clean up every single animation. We're going to finalize all our animations. We're going to make sure everything gets formatted nicely, everything's positioned where it needs to. Also, we need to start making events more visible. We need to start helping the player understand what exactly is going on. Because if you were to play this game without watching one of these videos, if like some of you just sat someone in front of this game, they would be really confused. They wouldn't know a lot about it. So we need to make it so whenever tokens are gained on a card, that like we have some sort of animation, like maybe some little coins falling down from above, falling onto the card, to let them know that, hey, in this zone, something gained a token. We also need it so that whenever a passive is activated, that either the buff or debuff pile glows. We also need it so anytime that you lose a stat or you gain a stat, that like there's some sort of indicator that either it glows green when it's gaining a stat or it glows red when it's losing a stat. There's a lot of quality of life changes that we need to implement. Also, probably needed some sound effects in here as well. Right now, no sound whatsoever, so a bit empty, a bit lonely. We also could make some visual adjustments to here. Like I said, we'd probably need to actually merge these art assets back here into our game board and make them pieces of it so they don't stand out as much. They actually look like they belong. Because right now they just look like someone just stuck a sticker on a wall. And that's not going to do. And that's mostly what we're going to do. So there's still going to be a lot of programming for this week. It's just not a lot of new cards. We're just going to make sure that we get everything all nice and organized. So from here on out, all the cards that we add have all the functionality that they need. Now, of course, there's always going to be some edge cases where we get to a card and we're like, oh, we want to do a really cool thing. So we'll do some one-off programming just specific for that card. However, really all we need for a lot of this stuff is to be able to just track events when they occur and be able to be accountable for them. So know which card activated the event, which cards are affected by the event, and things like that. So that's what we're going to be doing for this week. No new cards, just cleaning up our code, making sure our code is efficient as possible, and making sure that we can support future releases. We'll go ahead and just do, let's see if we can actually, we're going to go ahead and reset the game by clicking R. Which, by the way, if you ever want to reset the game, you can click R. Also, if you want to cheat, if you want to be a dirty, rotten cheater, you can press F and it'll shuffle the game. But don't do that. Don't be a cheater. So, we'll go ahead. We'll make this video. Ooh, we got about another 4 minutes. Let's go see. Come on, Outlaws. Come on, Outlaws. Give me that Outlaw. Mars. Come on, Outlaw. Well, yeah, if you want to try out the game, I wouldn't say it's not very fair. Ooh, Tycho's 7th Degree. This is a good card. It may not be very fair, but it does show you what we're going for. Outlaws, yeah. All right. And you can see cards are getting added to our deck. This is the enemy's deck being added to it. And we'll go ahead and draw a card. Hidden Passage. The way Hidden Passage works, ooh, this is a fun card, is that when it gets drawn, it will then create a random outlaw and put it into our debuff pile. So, it's one of those things is that if we want to counter it on the stack, we have to counter it now without knowing what card it's going to bring into play. So, you gotta say, do we want to disrupt it? Do we want to use Swift Justice to get rid of it right now while it's on the stack? Because Swift Justice, right now, it has no cost. Although, it should probably have a cost. It's a bit OP without it. Or do we want to wait till it gets to our debuff pile and pay a more expensive cost to get rid of it instead of our debuff pile? We'll go ahead and see what we get. Oh, we got a Corrupt Accountant. Anytime we pay tribute, which is anytime we draw a card, we have to pay tribute to the vacant throne right here. Anytime we pay tribute, we lose 2 orders, so not a good card. So we'll go ahead and capital punishment. And we'll send that to our discard pile. Now, just because we're going to be a little bit defensive here, we're going to cast out Tycho's 7th Decree. How it works is that Tycho's 7th Decree, anytime a card enters the debuff pile, it will then send that card back to the deck. But it can only do that twice. After twice, Tycho goes away. Bye-bye, Tycho. Bureaucratic Accountant, this is a good win condition. Go straight to our buff pile. Anytime we draw a card, we gain 2 order. Ooh, Tycho 7th Decree. We're doing good. Also, you may notice Tycho also costs 1 karma per turn to play. So it's a very good card. But for every... Oh, hey, remember that card I was talking about? I was like, hey, there's a card. It's a ticking time bomb. Well, there it is. Planet Explosive. It's got 17 turns left before it explodes. We can pay 10 tribute, which is the color right here. It's like red and gold because, hey, tribute's red and gold. We can pay 10 to disarm it. However, if we wait for it to explode, we will not only lose the 10 tribute, we also lose 10 order. So, we got to be careful. Now, this card gains stacks even when it's in our deck. So, we got to be careful. I think I misspelled a cur on there. Rubbish Heap. We're going to Swift Justice this. Rubbish Heap, what it does is that anytime Rubbish Heap is in our hand and we discard a card, it creates another Rubbish Heap in our deck. So Rubbish Heap is a lose condition, and it's a very annoying lose condition because what it does is that it stops you from being able to draw productive cards. And it's expensive to cast. You have to have at least 90 order to be able to cast it, and it takes 5 orders. It consumes 5 order. So you can see this little greater than means that you need to have at least, like capital punishment requires at least 45 order, and it consumes 15 karma. Rubbish Heap, you need to have at least 90 order, and it consumes 5 order. So that's what they're going for. And I think we're going to about wrap up. We're about 20 minutes, but this is the current state of the game. If you want to give it a try, just go ahead, download it below. If you want to check out the stream, just treemakesagame, twitch.tv/treemakesagame. We stream every day between 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., except for today. Today, we're not going to be streaming that. Today's going to be the first day I'm going to take a little break. And why? Because we streamed for 13 hours yesterday, and we could use a little break. Need a little break. So we came into the office, we made this video. We'll do a little bit of code cleanup. So if you catch this up right away, you might get a little bit of the stream. But we're going to be closing up shop early, but we'll be back tomorrow. Got a lot of code to clean up, a lot of work to be done this week. So while there's no new cards going to be added, it's going to be very, very, very productive. But I thank you all for watching. You all have a fantastic day.